So, life too sweet, I can't complain. The only constant is the change, and we go touch the road again. So as long as they call my name, then I will answer. I'm a happy camper, and love is my sponsor. Oh, yeah, and as long as I'm man of life, then I will dance up. No time for no anger, I'm smiling with me hands up, yeah. Somebody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, St. James. Only the PNM in St. James could get me away from my wife at this time on this day. But the PNM calls, and I always answer, regardless of what my personal circumstances are. I've missed family weddings, I've missed my children, graduation, all in the service of the PNM as we work for the service of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight, why are we here? We are here because in August, there's a local government election, and last Monday was nomination day, and we have nominated 141 standard bearers, one for every single district in the local government election in Trinidad. Here, you would have seen tonight and be introduced very briefly to new faces and also some hard-working incumbents in the Port of Spain Corporation and the Diego Martin Borough, the newest in the nation. I've been talking about local government reform for a few weeks, and some of my colleagues have been working on it for a few years, and we are now distilling that to a simple point. We would like to reform the local government structure in Trinidad to perform better for the people of Trinidad across this island nation. But it's an election. And while tonight we heard about local government, we heard about education, we heard about finance, we are not in this alone. There are others who are offering themselves. And it wouldn't be an election campaign, and we would be derelict in our duty if we do not engage the political opponents so as to educate the voter as to what the real options are. And that is why I wouldn't talk too much tonight about local government. We have many more nights. But on nomination day, I saw an invitation to treat. And tonight, the battle has been joined. Because if the people of Trinidad and Tobago don't know what dangers they face, I am in a position to tell you. And I want to speak to you tonight from St. James all the way down to Cedros, and even to Charlottesville, even though you're not involved in the election, because you need to know the dangers we face. And this is not a debate. These are facts that you need to know. As Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I saw a former Commissioner of Police, who today is the leader of a political party, engage in these local elections as an associate in some accommodation with a former political party that almost wrecked this country, saying to the country that he has come to the political arena to take on Keith Rowley. Pleased to meet you, sir. Because you see, I, as political leader of the PNM, we opened the doors of this party wide, wide, wide. and we have our principles, and we say once you are prepared to subscribe to those principles, you are welcome to join us in the People's National Movement. But more than that, we are also saying that we do not shut out other people from other political entities if they reach a certain standard to do national duty and are willing to do that duty with the PNM, even though they are identified with other political organizations. And that is not old talk. It is for that reason, and standing on those grounds, why today Anthony Smart, former Attorney General of the NAR, is the long-serving chairman of the FCB under the PNM. It is for that reason why a former UNC member of parliament, my parliamentary colleague on the opposite side of the floor, is today and has been for the longest while the chairman of the National Petroleum Company. And it is for that reason that when the Police Service Commission sent its recommendation to the Parliament with the name of that gentleman on it, we gave note to what the work the Commission had done. And at the end of the day, without UNC support, the PNM supported Gary Griffith and made him Commissioner of Police in this country. And I want to say it again. I said it before, I'm saying it here in St. James. I take full responsibility for that, because as PNM leader who got my parliamentary colleagues to vote for the UNC budget in 2010, I also got them to vote in support of Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police. And in case you all don't know, the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago is a very serious responsibility. It's not just a job, it's a responsibility. And I could tell you, there are frightening developments that fell from that. As I speak to you now, in this election, where there's a party called NTA, you know, I'm told that the SCA results coming out next week. Sometime next week. Anyway, I hope you all could handle SCA exam. N is not, T is that, and a dash. You could fill it in as you require and see if you could pass the exam. I hope you pass on Monday. But I'm saying to you, following the principles of getting what appears to be the best person from wherever they come from, that gentleman was put in office. I cannot now speak to you on the details of what has disturbed me, but suffice it to say, at the end of his contract, the government that I led wanted no part of him, because we discovered that not everyone who says they love this country will do what is right for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The next thing I know, I had to invite people to go and find out what is happening in the police service, because I was hearing in my capacity as Prime Minister and Chairman of the National Security Council that certain things were very unwell in the police service. So I had to try to find out, because that is my job. As I speak to you tonight, I did find out that there were grave problems in the police service. That ended up in the court, where I am now talking to you, and I'm injuncted from telling you about a report that I would have read moons ago, sleeping with it at night, but I can't tell you, because the court has said until certain works are finished by the Commissioner of Police, I cannot speak to anybody in this country about that report. But I could ask a question. I could ask a question, and I want you, the people, to ask yourself that question and get an answer. Because this gentleman is now offering himself to be elected to get into executive authority in this country. And the question you have to ask, what is it in those reports or that report that I know, that he knows, that he doesn't want you to know? Just ask yourself that. It has to be, it ain't nothing good. What is it? And I am now, as Prime Minister of this country, injuncted by the court to not tell the Parliament where there is danger, because an individual has managed to get into the court. And as you all know, the courts in our country, somehow the criminals believe that they own it, and it is the best place of shelter for them. Take me to court now. I want me a lawyer. That is how it goes in Trinidad and Tobago. But when you have serious situations where I am the only Prime Minister in the Commonwealth who does not have the freedom to tell the Parliament what danger the country faces with respect to national security. And that is not, if that is not bad enough, the gentleman has stepped into the political arena. So even though I am injuncted with respect to putting the report to you, to the Parliament, to anybody, I could read for you and tell you that what I'm reading here is from the Newsday of Saturday, 13th May 2023. Because I'm sure most of you would have missed this article. You will hear one of his statements made very regularly, that no gun. So it's all about guns. It's all about guns. And getting into bed with the UNC, while we are campaigning on local government reform, you know what they're campaigning on? They're going to give you more gun. Everybody will get a gun. And this island nation will become a nation of guns. And the UNC, as terrible as they are, they go one step further. They're going to bring legislation to the Parliament to enact stand your ground law, which means that if you see somebody you don't like, and you just feel like, okay, you shoot them, you tell the police, I was afraid of that person. A child ball bumps into your yard, and the mother come behind to follow the child. And at the end of the day, I'm saying it here tonight in St. James, if you all don't believe me, don't doubt me. That is a policy that is simply saying a dog whistle, that they're going to give people of a certain race guns to shoot people of another race, because they are saying that the crime in this country, which we know is across the board, is one race attacking another race. There's one pundit here asking under the FY, he want the information as to how much Indians were killed by Africans in the country. Good information, but for what purpose? That is where this country is going. So you have a former commissioner of police advertising that the way to manage the crime in this country is to give everybody a gun. And if you think that's a joke, if you were getting a gun for free, that was one thing. But the gun is part of a business. Because everybody I know, you know plenty of people in this country want gun. And that is why the UNC is saying, we're going to give all of your gun. Because anything you say you want, they're going to give you. But is that the nation we want to build? Where guns are all over the street, and then you think that you're safer with every punk with a gun, everyone with money with 100 guns and so on and so on. So we are a gun nation, and you defend yourself by just shooting the next person? Is that it? But let me tell you where you have to be afraid. One of the reports that came out, I didn't do that report. That was a report that came from the Police Service Commission, who, like me, sent an investigator to find out what was happening in the police service with respect to this whole matter of guns and ammunition. And you know what that person found? And that person was no ordinary person. That person was a former High Court judge, Justice John. You know what he did? Court of Appeal judge. You know what he reported to the Police Service Commission? that what he found in the police service is a thriving, well-oiled criminal enterprise. So in case you all don't know what is the manifesto of the NTA, it's a well-oiled criminal enterprise. And all you have to know now is what brand of oil and where the oil is and who is the enterprise owner. That's all you need to know. Because Justice John is no ordinary, arbitrary, hot-headed person. When a former appeal court judge reports to the Police Service Commission that what he has found in the police service is a well-oiled criminal enterprise, the people of this country should take note. And for the handful who want to run behind him to think, oh, they could elect him into this country, if that is what you all wish for this country, you are just as irresponsible as the oiler. Ladies and gentlemen, let me read for you what you missed in the newspaper. Because incidentally, as I read it, there are statements of fact. Because this newspaper is quoting from an affidavit put in the court by the existing Commissioner of Police, who is in charge of the ongoing investigation. So you hear him calling my name with his calling my name. I'm not answering him, but he's coming to the political arena and his political boy he's going to get. But this is from the existing Commissioner of Police, who put it as an affidavit in the court of this country, and I'm going to read liberally for you all. Over 100 guns granted under the tenure of the three former police have been used, not maybe, have been used to commit crimes of murder, robberies, and suicide. 30 guns so far, imported by authorized dealers, have ended in the hands of criminals. This is a sworn statement in the court. And of course, the Commissioner of Police, I'm quoting here from a newspaper article, which is quoting from the affidavit in the court. The Commissioner of Police raised serious national security concerns and the stability of the country over such imports. She's talking about a dealer in permission to import 3.6 million rounds of ammunition. The Commissioner raised serious national security concerns and the stability of the country over such imports. The poor, pay attention, the poor accounting records of guns and ammunition imported. You know we have to do work on the border to prevent illegal guns from coming in. That's a different conversation. That's a different story. I am talking here tonight about the imported and those who handle the imported. The possession of military-grade arms and ammunition in the hands of civilians, such ammunition that can pierce wood, concrete, metal, and body armor worn by the police. And of course, she disclosed incomplete statistics between 2016 and 2022, because the work is still going on. But interestingly enough, non-law enforcement purposes skyrocketed with an all-time high in 2020 of 57.2 million rounds of ammunition, permits granted for 57.2 million rounds of ammunition, almost 14 times the population of this country. It means that for every one of us in this country, in that 1 year, there are 14 bullets imported into this country. But if it's a well-oiled business, the bigger the business, the better. And of course, let me show you all how it went. And I'm reading from the article, which is the commissioner's affidavit to the court. In 2016, come on, SEA students. In 2016, 81 imports were granted, allowing 55 registered gun dealers to bring in 1,620 guns and 6.1 million rounds of ammunition. In 2017, 54 permits were granted, approval to bring in 1,660 guns and 4.7 million rounds of ammunition. In 2018, 91 permits to bring in 5,422 guns and 2.6 million rounds of ammunition. In 2019, 150 permits were granted to import 2,750 guns and 8 million rounds of ammunition. In 2020, approved import permits jumped. You know what jump means? It means it gone up. To 306 dealers, allowing dealers to bring in 64,553 guns and 57,194,000 rounds of ammunition. That is what was happening in the police service. So we at war with Ukraine or Venezuela. So the solution to fighting crime in this country, according to Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC, and Gary Griffith of the Not That A, right? That solution is to give people permits to bring in 1 year, 64,553 guns and 57 million rounds of ammunition. What does that mean? Recently, here in St. James, 2 killers came to kill somebody at close quarter, point blank. They fired 62 rounds of ammunition into that person. 62 rounds. And every day, every morning you wake up, the one thing that is not in short supply in Trinidad and Tobago is ammunition. Every little punk in every street corner, every drug dealer could fire as much as they like, because ammunition is not in short supply in Trinidad and Tobago. And we don't make one bullet in this country. So while we're out there talking about porous border and porous border, the biggest pore in the border is the coming through here, getting the permit, and you bring in millions of ammunition. And of course, you hardly hear the criminal gunmen missing, eh? They could shoot because they get endless amount of ammunition to practice. They practice. So when they come to do their job, they're well prepared. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a political issue. It's a major political issue because everybody in this country, including the UNC and the said former commissioner, could tell you the biggest problem in the country is crime, 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 and it's Rowley, 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 Prime Minister, Prime Minister, Prime Minister, when in their offices, they talk about this and they do what they have to do. And we end up with a country where we will buy as much ammunition as available in the market. So how you think Justice John managed to discover this well-oiled criminal enterprise? Now, it's worse than that. I just told you about permits, import permits, and ammunition. For months now, as chairman of the National Security Council, I'm waiting for the information from the police service. There's difficulty. Because, listen to this. Information from the Customs and Excise Division for the 6-year period to determine the actual number of guns and ammunition for non-law enforcement purposes is yet to be provided to the police. In short, we are having difficulty in finding out from customs that these dangerous items that were permitted and come through the customs, how much was imported, who imported it, where is it, how much is yet to be imported. All we have is the permits. There was one instance I must tell you about. There's one dealer in arms in this country who, when under law, the police go to make the usual check to find out how ammunition being handled, because they're required to go regularly to go and check, and it was not being done. When they went by one dealer who had permits to bring in and had brought in a volume of ammunition into this country, dealer had no books to account. Under the law, you're supposed to account for every single bullet. When you bring it in, who you sell it to, and when. But this dealer tell the police they stole his books. But the police have no record of any theft at his place. So you understand why all these punks have as much bullets as they require? You understand? And when you have that responsibility, and this is the record for your tenure, you want to form political party to come and contest election against the PNM because you believe that the people of Trinidad and Tobago will fall for stupid talk when they are in grave and mortal danger. Grave and mortal danger. Let me just give you an idea of, from this same report that the commissioner put in the court. In 2016, as you know, all along we have always been granting firearms every year, a certain number, and you add, because it was never government's policy in this country. Not my government, not the UNC government, not the Pandy government. It was never the government policy in this country to open the door and give everybody who want a gun, a gun. Crime was there. They killed 2 people in Pandy House. Remember that when he was Prime Minister? 2 people got killed in the Prime Minister house. So don't come and tell me we didn't have crime then. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, she declared a state of emergency because there was so much crime one weekend in Narima. Remember that story? So all of us as Prime Ministers had this issue of violent crime, firearm crime to deal with. None of the previous Prime Minister, including the UNC under Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, none of us took the position that the answer to fighting crime in this country was to wash the country in guns. That was a policy that was introduced by the Commissioner of Police that I assisted to put in office. Unbeknownst to me as Prime Minister and as Chief of the National Security Council, we changed the policy on giving people powerful assault weapons. I discovered that one weekend, I'm in Tobago, I look at the paper, I see a whole page advertising assault weapons. Weapons that are carrying bullets, the 5.56 and the 7.62. You also saw the other day somewhere a woman was home inside of a house, walking in a corridor in front of her sister, and she just dropped down in the corridor. And when the sister bent down to help her up, she realized it's dead. She was dead. A bullet came through all the walls and killed her in the corridor. That is what a 7.62 can do. That is what a 5.56 can do. And before this gentleman decided to change the national policy on his own, I saw this advertisement. And I'm asking, what is going on here? Because I know those weapons, some people have them, but they're only allowed to have bullets for them on the range, where they shoot on the range for competition and so you could own the gun, but you can't take a bullet home to have to use the gun, because the gun without the bullet is no use. So when you want to shoot, you have to go on the range, get your bullets there, use it there, and you can't leave with none. He changed that policy. Give people the gun and give them an endless supply of ammunition. And once it gets out there, tells you nobody who got a firearm has ever committed a crime in this country. Right? But the policy has been changed by the Commissioner of Police. Because he thinks he's all powerful. I am National Security Chairman. I wake up one morning and hear Louis Leeson complaining that they closed down Blanchisseur's police station. I said, but Louis always talk madness, craziness. When I check, Louis is not mad. Shut down Maria police station. Maria police station is responsible for the whole of north of Tobago. Shut it down, shut it down. Without reference to the minister or the prime minister. Shut down Blanchisseur's police station without reference to the minister or the prime minister. St. Clair police station became a business place for the firearms unit. They opened a room there recently. They meet 10,000 files inside there for firearms. The firearm user's license. And of course, so in the normal scheme of things, listen to this. Number of firearms users license issued. 2016, 328. 2017, 363. 2018, it doubled, one time, double, 732. The enterprise is off and running. 2019, 1,704. 2020, 2,800. 2021, 1,986. So in Clare, what we were doing here, we see the attempt to militarize the society. And coming into the information is that a lot of this is not being done for free. We've always heard about corruption in that department, but this is a different story on a different scale. And of course, as I speak to you now, I don't have all the information. Would you all believe that? And I can't tell you anything else tonight because I don't want to breach the court order. Because the court order injuncts the Prime Minister from talking other than to the Police Commissioner and the Police Service Commission about this matter of firearms users license and ammunition. So I stopped there for now. But if that was all the infraction, you would have said, well, it's only gone. It's only gone. But this report, this is the final report, and this one is under no court injunction, but it's from the same police service, right? Final report of the audit of procurement of goods and services and the hiring of staff on contract undertaken by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. This is a report that was commissioned by the Ministry of Finance because the central audit unit is in the Ministry of Finance and it goes into various government departments and does an audit as and when required. Let me quote for you a few paragraphs from in here. Final report on the audit of procurement of goods and services and the hiring of staff on contract undertaken by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Page 5 of a 46-page document. Abuse of delegation of authority. You know, different people in different departments have what you call delegated authority, where they could sign off on spending a certain level of money. And a permanent secretary, the level of expenditure that a permanent secretary can sign off on without going to higher authority is $1 million. That's how it was then, right? The Commissioner of Police is an accounting officer. So he too had a limit of $1 million. So he could sign contracts in the police service of up to $1 million. This executive summary of this audit starts out with saying abuse of delegation of authority. Let me read a couple lines of it for you. There were numerous instances where single contract agreements approved were in excess of the commissioner's delegated authority of $1 million, and contracts were broken up to bypass the delegated authority of both the Ministerial Tenders Committee and the Central Tenders Board. There were 9 instances where contracts were approved internally by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, of which the Commissioner's authority did not exist. In particular, December 30th, 2020, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and a private company entered into a vehicle lease agreement for the lease of 114 vehicles for a period of 3 years from January 1st, 2021 at a cost of $51.1 million. So people, what I'm saying to you here, reading from this audit, this gentleman who now wants executive authority, form political party, join up with the UNC, hail friends well met, because birds of a feather flock together. Even after they molt and come back, they still flock together. His authority limit as Commissioner of Police is $1 million. But he managed to got the police to enter into a contract under his authority of $51 million. That is what he wants authority to do in Port of Spain Corporation and Diego Martin Corporation, where he has candidates. What I'm saying to you tonight, the people of Diego Martin and the people of Port of Spain, where this not, what you call it, coming to put up candidates, you have a responsibility to make sure that every candidate under this man's leadership lose their deposit. Every one of them. They must lose their deposit, because if they could turn a blind eye to this and go and want to vote them into office, they are irresponsible, and they can't say they no, because I've come here tonight to tell you I didn't make this up. This is a report from the Ministry of Finance. The other one is a report from the Commissioner of Police in the court, and I as Prime Minister am injuncted from telling you the rest. But I go on. In this report, contract for $12 million, sign off on. And of course, lease and rental payments without contracts. Another heading. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service currently rents vehicles for a number of suppliers. The annual cost ranges from $10 million to $23 million. In fiscal 2019-2020, payments valued at $22.7 million were made to 13 companies. Of the 13 companies, lease agreements were provided for only 3 suppliers, of which one had expired in 2017 and the other in 2019. There were no documents and contracts within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to support the selection and award of the other contracts. Is that how you run a government department? Is that how you want to run the country? Is that a badge of honor to pole vault you up into the political arena and telling you how popular he is and you're going to win this and you're going to win that? I could tell you, he knows he had nothing to win. This NTA entity was formed deliberately in the hope that it will provide protection for people who behave like that. So when the police come after them, they could say it is politically motivated. But the documents are all here. All here. Page 9. Excessive cost. That's the heading. Under hiring. In 2015, persons hired 401, 67 million. 2016, 61 million. 2017, 57 million. 2018, 54 million. So you saw the level of hiring by contracting. 2019, 63 million. 2020, 73 million. 2021, 89 million. That's excessive hiring, and the details are all here. Enhancement of salaries. the commissioner, in issuing contracts, enhanced the salaries of the individuals by 20% gratuity payment, then stated that there would be no gratuity payment, but then increased the salary by 20%. So you pay the gratuity before the gratuity was due. Pay it on the salary during the life of the contract. Those are the kinds of things that these people believe qualify them. Page 15. Below, table 3, I'm quoting, below reflect contracts that were approved and executed in excess of the Commissioner of Police limit of 1 million. Number 1, 2017, 2018, there were 2 such. 2018, 2019, there were 2. 2019, 2020, there was 6. 2.5 million, 11.9 million, 10.8 million, 4 million, 3.8 million. 2021, 2020 to 2021, 2.8 million, 11.9 million, 10.8 million, 5.3 million, 4 million, 1.8 million, 3.8 million. And the heading is contracts that were approved and executed in excess of the Commissioner's limit of 1 million. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what has been going on. This is what the investigations have discovered. This is what somebody feels is a badge of honor and a passport to being elected in Trinidad and Tobago. But I ask you, why are you surprised? Why are you surprised? And why are you surprised that when the UNC can't find candidates because they're bawling, call the election now, call the election now? When the Privy Council ruled, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. We were never running away from any election. We were moving cautiously in transition to an election later in the year. The Privy Council ruling didn't order an election, but I thought that since this was a big issue and the accusation was that the government was in fact breaching rights of under the Constitution, even though it was said in the judgment that was not so, I said, okay, let's go to the poll in 90 days. And guess what? Nomination day, they can't find candidates. So they form accommodation. Accommodation to do what? To do exactly what the UNC has made a name for and what that NTA group led by that gentleman is showing you here. That is his idea of managing public affairs and managing public money. And people like that, you keep them as far away from government money as you can, because if they could do this inside the police office, what do you think they will do in the corporation? And when the UNC heard that they have done this, that he had done this, they said, come back home, boy, your talent get better. You're better than we, come back home. So he gone back home. And on that ground, those who had decency have left the UNC and they put the bucket down in the PNM. Welcome to the PNM. This is no joke. This is no joke. This is the record. When I speak to you about the PNM's record, whether it's in Tobago or in Port of Spain or in Whitehall or inside the Port of Spain, we can speak about our record proudly, because we can point to things that have been done for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That is the kind of record that you speak about. That is the kind of record that you want. That is the kind of record that you have to look for when you're searching for somebody to that is what they encourage. We are having our political meeting. We don't go into anybody's political meeting and behave like that. But that is what they want to bring into this country. And I'm asking you to reject it. In 68 years of the PNM, In 68 years of the PNM, we try to be stronger, we try to be better, we try to be more decent. And when people are coming to tell you, you heard tonight from the Minister of Finance that we in this government, we first heard about something called inheritance tax created by the UNC. And when we said it is not so, nothing that we could say could prevent the leader of the opposition from stopping, from refusing to be repeating that unadulterated lie to the population that there is some issue about inheritance tax which warrants you being involved to protect yourself from some new PNM tax. And I want to say to the media tonight, please do not write again about the PNM introducing property tax. Property tax. Property tax is the law. It is the law. We are not introducing it. It has not been collected because there was an amnesty for a number of years given by the UNC. And the UNC ended the amnesty. And therefore the law came back into force under the UNC. So don't go writing about the PNM bringing property tax. It is the law, and as a matter of fact, we are duty bound under our oath of office to observe the law. It is only because the court has given contrary instructions that we have to do certain things before you carry out the law that caused the tax not to have been in. It is not a new tax. It does not indicate increase in taxation. As a matter of fact, you would have heard from the Minister of Finance that we have lifted the burden of taxation on over 200,000 people by granting them tax relief, making their earnings tax-free as long as they earn under $7,500 a month. So people of this country, there are too many schools, there are too many sources of truthful information for you to be fooled by people who could come and tell you that an issue in this election is inheritance tax, when in fact there is no such thing anywhere in the political or governmental ether in this country. That is an individual to watch. If you could so disrespect the people of this country to fabricate a lie like that and try to use it as an election campaign, you know what that tells me? They are short of effective accusations against the government. And if it's not there, they have to make it up. Because we have conducted ourselves in the best way possible, in the most difficult circumstances. I ask you a question. How many hundreds of millions of dollars did this government hand out to people in literally giving away cash to people in business or in their homes during the COVID? Because that is what the circumstances were called for. We did that. Have you heard about any financial scandal about it? But of course, now that I've said that, from tomorrow the UNC started to lie about it. But the bottom line is, we have done that without scandal in this country. You could imagine if the UNC was in office, requiring to hand out all those hundreds of millions of dollars? Eh? But we could say proudly, the record will show that we did what had to be done, and to the best of our ability, got those monies to the people for whom they were intended. Whether it was the small man or the big man. That is how our country is run for the better. So tonight, I want to say to you all, we have the record of the PNM to stand on. And as my grandmother said, sometimes you're as being good host, and bad hostess call you. The PNM is good house. The PNM is the house that Eric Williams built. The PNM is the house that you lived in since 1956. And the only time rooms were added and it was made more comfortable and more opportunities came to you, it was when the PNM was in office. That's what it is. So local election or general election, your port in any storm is the people's national movement. To make us look bad, they have to lie on us. They can't engage the items of governance that we engage. They can't tell you that when we had to shut this country down completely during COVID, schools closed, teachers home, factories closed, economy shut right down, and we survived. And then we restarted the economy, and the companies were still there, ready to restart, and our economy has bounced back now to the level where it was before COVID. And we should thank God for that instead of telling lies about it. You know, some of them like to describe me in the worst possible way, but I don't listen to that. I listen to you, the right-thinking people who know what good leadership is and what it did for you when it was required. We are not here to promote ourselves. We are here to promote our policies and our programs. And you, the people, have a responsibility to decide what you support and what you don't support. And there's no way the decent, right-thinking people of this country could support an individual with a record like that in the police service, where he was given an opportunity to serve the country, and instead of that, got himself embroiled in all kinds of scandalous arrangements and became more and more disrespectful by the hour. You couldn't say anything about him. You on Facebook to cuss you. I had to speak to him on a number of occasions to say, that is not how you treat with the public. And of course, a stranger to the truth. One day I had a meeting, national security meeting, and I had 3 other cabinet members there with me, and he had 1 other police officer. And I put certain questions to him, and he answered. And as he left the room, one cabinet minister turned to me and said, Prime Minister, you realize that the Commissioner of Police has lied to you? And I said, yes, I realized it. That is what we have been dealing with. That is what is now in front of us. And that is what, even though when we went to the Parliament using the Police Service Commission recommendation, that he was lying 4th on the list. 1, 2, 3 were found to be unacceptable. And we said, well, 4th, we'll accept 4. Not a single UNC vote in the Parliament voted for him. Not one. Ask yourself, how you love him so now? Because he has proven to you the metal of which he has been made. He was fired from the cabinet of the UNC because he said he will tell the truth in a matter involving the Attorney General, which is in the court, for attempting to pervert the course of justice. So you get fired for that. Now, after 3 years as Commissioner of Police, where Justice John talked about a well-oiled criminal enterprise, the UNC get excited and they want him back. You can have him because the people of Diego Martin, the people of Port of Spain want no part of him. But I still want to ask you all, when he comes around, he and the few handful minions he has, ask him, what is it in the report that required you go into court to tell the court that the Prime Minister must not let the Parliament know? Ask that question. And of course, I will know the answer. He would lie to you again. But the court matter, one day it will end. It will come to an end one day. And I wouldn't be the person talking to you about it. I have said enough about this, and I don't intend to spend more of the PNM time on a platform talking about this. The garbage bin is close by. Dispense with that trash, and let's get on with local government reform. Tonight, you would have seen on this platform 12 of the young people who have answered the call to come forward and take responsibility for this country. Diego Martin has produced another 10. I'm asking you, the people, not just PNM members and PNM supporters, I'm asking citizens of Diego Martin, whether it is Carenage, whether it is Paramin, in the borough of Diego Martin, whether it is West Moorings, be responsible and come out and support this well-selected PNM team. And let us begin to reform local government so that we can have better service in our districts. Local government reform is meant to bring that improvement, and we will do it incrementally. We will start by strengthening the management. We will start by doing better with the garbage collection, with the road repairs on the minor roads and secondary roads. We will go to school maintenance. We have a number of public buildings that require to be maintained and used. And as we build up the strength in the management system and have the kind of skills and professions in the corporations, the central government can then offload more and more responsibility to the community and, of course, fund it from the central government. So local governments will have two streams of revenues. You'll have your local collection, which is your constant revenue stream, and you will have your central government allocation, so you will be well positioned. And that's why we've been so careful to select people who will not do like I described to you here a while ago. People who will obey the law, people who will have integrity, who will see service to people and not service to self, and take pride in the new borough and the new Port of Spain that we dream of. Port of Spain is our capital city. It was being run down and emptied out. This PNM government has taken a policy that Port of Spain City will be a city worthy of the name of capital of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why in the height of the economic decline into the COVID period, that is when we restored and put back into office the President's house in our nation. Today, it is one of the proudest buildings in our nation. That is why we found the resources, created the opportunities to fix all the magnificent buildings from QRC School Hall right up to Whitehall. And today, they are priceless items of pride for the nation. That is why today, the new Port of Spain Hospital block, many floors rising into the sky in Port of Spain, replacing the dangerous one that was there, almost fell down during the earthquake. A brand new building is underway there. In a few weeks' time, we open a brand new Ministry of Health on Queen's Park East, where we will stop be paying $800,000 a month in rent, and the entire Ministry of Health, all its arms, will be in that building for all time. That is how you develop a city. And of course, only yesterday, I instructed our officer at the IDB to open discussions for an IDB loan, specifically to deal with the drainage issue in the city of Port of Spain, so that our city does not become a street flood every time it rains. We are going to, once and for all, do what has to be done to make the city of Port of Spain perform better with respect to the drainage between the hills and the sea, and the PNM is going to do that. These things are not going to be done by any other government. Other people had opportunities. They can't point to one thing after they've been in office. I want to ask you all here tonight, you point me to one developmental thing that the UNC did for 5 years when they were in charge of this country for the city of Port of Spain. You tell me, point to one thing. In a few weeks' time, we are turning the sod for the construction of an assessment center on the old foundry site in Port of Spain, and that is meant to provide housing and comfort to homeless people who take the streets of Port of Spain as their home. After that is built and is available, we will put the law in the parliament, and no person will be allowed to lie on the street and defecate on the street and live on the street in Port of Spain, because there will be somewhere where you can go, and once that place is available, then you have no right to be on the street. and no person will be allowed to feed people on the street and create slums on the streets of Port of Spain. None. That is how we intend to fix it. You see, we came into being, the PNM, in 1956, not to have revenge on anybody. Could you imagine the opposition leader with all of these things to talk about and to engage and to put up as alternatives, telling you to go out and vote for revenge, to take revenge on the PNM? It tells you about the state of mind of the individual. Revenge. But we in Tobago have a talk where they say, you who do good for Jumbi, and you Jumbi the striking. Right? So take revenge on me and the PNM, who did all the good things for you, and she telling you to take revenge. Yes, come out to the polling stations, because I know once you get to the polling station, that choice is so easy. You choose the People's National Movement. We're not here from yesterday, but we're here for all times. We're here from 1956. You could point to any aspect of development in this country, and you toss a coin, 50-50, or go on head or tail one time. You toss the PNM coin, it falls PNM every time, everything that is valuable in this country. There are very few things in this country that any other party can point to and say, we initiate that, we built that, we protected that, we fixed that. The PNM built this country, and we are so proud of that. That's why we wear this red, and we invite you into it, and we bring our young people, and we give them responsibility, and we give them good policies and programs, and this country is better off for it. The People's National Movement. So tonight, I could stand here all night and tell you what we did in this city. Right next to me there, within walking distance, is a line-up machine. You know what that means? It means that you can get the best cancer care in the world right next door to the hospital. The PNM put that there. And you know when we bought that? We bought that when the budget had fallen from 60 billion to 43 billion. It cost $75 million. But we banged the belly and we bought it. And it's there every day. You would see in the papers, kudos, applaudits for the excellent staff and the excellent service that goes on in the St. James Hospital, where specialist care to those who are fighting cancer get it there in St. James, in a government facility. You think that is available abroad for free? You go and get that care abroad, you don't pay for it. But people in this country somehow being encouraged to think that your country is ill-treating you. I want you to acknowledge that a lot of what this country gives you for free, others can't pay for it in other countries. And they have a handful of people here trying to tell you that Trinidad and Tobago is the worst place in the world. If it is so bad, how come everybody wants to come here? How come? How come they all rushing to come here? I say to you all, be careful what you ask for. You may get it. You have been asking for good government. You got it from the PNM. In 2010 to 2015, you know what bad government was. We have been in government for 8 years. There has not been a single report of false papers in any job in this country. Not one. Not one. There's nobody in this association on the platform here who the police looking for or who on bail. None. There's nobody here who describe themselves on a political platform as fake. Whether it's fake hair or fake face or bleach skin, all of you fake. All of you. Yeah? When I was a child, we used to have a place, a bush, where they used to bleach clothes without the bleach and blue. You put the clothes in wash it blue soap, and you see how the color changing? Have you seen that? God didn't do a good job to them bleaching themselves. That is it. I mean, if you can't be true to your own skin, to your own color, what are you going to be true to? There's nobody on this platform who is bleached. Ladies and gentlemen, the election is coming. We'll be talking to you from now until the weekend of August 14th. Monday, election day, August 14th. Tune into the PNM. Listen to the PNM. Learn about your country. Stand up with the PNM. Come to the PNM. Vote PNM. And then when it's all said and done, we will say, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Somebody touch me. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch my soul.